Hi everybody, it's Miss Caitlin with Plant the Seed. I am at the Davis Early Learning Center today, and I'm so excited to be back filming another video for our Plant the Seed take-home kits. And this time, our theme is going to be, guess what this is? It's a pumpkin. So you're gonna have a pumpkin and other supplies, and we're gonna do a lot of different activities with this pumpkin. So I'm so excited to get to do these with you and get to try some new things, because one of these activities I've never done, so we're actually gonna be able to do it together for the first time. So go ahead and join me, and we're gonna get this open and we're gonna start exploring inside. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have a parent or guardian take a knife, and we're actually gonna cut the top off of our pumpkin. So whenever we're doing this, we're gonna be really careful, and we're gonna have our fingers down here holding the pumpkin secure. And we're gonna take our knife and always have the tip side down, and we're just gonna cut a hole in the top. So I have a paring knife right now, which is just this smaller shape of a knife, and I am making sure all of my fingers are on the handle and nothing is in the way. It's a little difficult to do, and this is why we have a parent or guardian helping. But I'm so excited to see what is inside of this pumpkin. It's okay if it's not a perfect circle. Mine's kind of a, I don't know, like an octagon almost. Gotta work around the handle of the pumpkin. Remember, just be careful while you're doing this. Let's see if it comes out. And sometimes the first try you have to go back through and make some more cuts to get the top off. So I'm gonna try this one more time. And it's totally okay. We're not going for perfection here. Maybe this time? Let's see. Ah, there we go. So inside, as soon as I pull it out, we have these beautiful pumpkin seeds. And then this inside part is actually called the pulp of the pumpkin. So whenever you open it, if seeds start to fall out, we're actually gonna be roasting these seeds. So go ahead and just put them to the side on the paper towel that comes inside of your box. Just kind of spread them out and just start to take this off of the pulp. Put them over here. Before you do this, it's a great idea to wash your hands too. So we're staying nice and safe from germs and from other things, and our hands are clean. And we're gonna go ahead and start to get these seeds out. And then you're gonna take a spoon, either a big spoon, small spoon, whatever works, and we're just gonna start getting this pulp and these seeds on the inside out. I'm just gonna move my knife to the side. Just kind of take it and do a scraping motion. You want to try to hit the sides as much as possible to get that pulp off, and just scoop it out. Now, if you've ever done this to pumpkin before, if you've ever carved a pumpkin, you've done this exact thing. The big difference is just going to be that we're going to collect our seeds. And so you see all of these seeds. I'm going to go ahead and just spread these out on my paper towel. I'm just going to try to make one layer because I want these to dry. So whenever we roast them, they're already a little bit drier than they are now, because right now this is really slimy. So we want to try to get these as dried off as we can. So I want you to go ahead and keep on digging in your pumpkin and clean it out as much as you can. And then after I've done that, I will rejoin you to show you what it looks like. So go ahead and keep working, and I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so I went ahead and I got all of the seeds out of my pumpkin that I could. So this is what the inside will look like after you've cleaned it. You can see there's still some pulp and some seeds inside, and that's okay. We're not going for perfection. We're just doing our best. And so this is what I did. Right here, I counted, and I have about 150 pumpkin seeds. I want you to count your seeds and see how many you have. If you have more, if you have less, just to see how many pumpkin seeds you have. So with this pumpkin, we're actually going to be using this later in one of our other activities. I'm just going to put the top back on if I can figure out how it goes. There we go. Perfect. We're going to be using this later on, but in our next activity, we're actually going to be using these pumpkin seeds. We're going to be roasting them and tasting them and trying different spices on them too to see what we like more. So we're just going to kind of lay these out. Like I said, try to make as even as of a layer as you can. If there's any extra pulp, any of the orange pulp on there, you can just put it to the side. I use my second paper towel to just clean off the outside of my pumpkin and to kind of just dry these off a little bit so they're not as slimy as they were, which is great. So I will see you next in my kitchen so we can roast pumpkin seeds, and then we're actually going to be roasting our pumpkin as well. All right, we'll see you then. All right, everybody, so I'm back in my kitchen and I have my pumpkin seeds. I'm gonna go ahead and take them off the paper towel I had them drying on, and I'm just gonna put them in a little bowl because I'm actually gonna rinse these off and try to get some of that sliminess and some of that pulp off before we roast them. So I'm just putting them in a bowl like this. Just gonna try to get all of them off the paper towel, and then I will rinse them. So I will be right back with you to show you how I'm going to rinse them whenever I just have them in this bowl. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and start roasting with our pumpkin seeds. So here I have my pumpkin seeds, and I'm just going to put it down so it's easier for me to turn on the water. And all I'm going to do is just put some water in this bowl and then just kind of move it around a little bit to get some of that sliminess off from the pumpkin seeds. There you go. You can see some of the pulp coming off too, which is awesome. I kind of put that to the side. I'm going to kind of move these around, trying to get all of that sliminess off and trying to get that pulp off from the pumpkin. It's okay. Like I've said earlier, it's okay if it's not perfect. We're just doing our best. And then I'm going to go ahead and drain this water out. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see me do that. All right, so all you're going to do is just take your pumpkin seeds with the water inside, as you can see, and just put your hand on the side of the bowl and just tip it to the side, keeping all of your pumpkin seeds in, but getting that water out that you used to clean them off with, because we don't want any of that water to go into our toasted pumpkin seeds. So I'm just going to continue dumping that until all the water is out, and then you just have your clean pumpkin seeds. They're not nearly as slimy now, and most of the pulp is actually gone. That kind of took care of it. So they are good to go. So the next thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to use that second paper towel that was in your box. I'm just going to go ahead and grab that, the second paper towel, and then you're going to take your pumpkin seeds, and you're just going to put them on your paper towel, just like this. Using a counter will be easier to do this. I'm just doing this so y'all can see it with me. You can see I just dumped all of my seeds onto this. There's still some pulp in there. Get that out. And then all you're going to do is just kind of pat them so they're a little bit more dry. And you're just soaking up that extra water. You can see how much water is in there. So we just kind of want to dry them off so they are not as wet as they were whenever we go to toast them. So I'm going to show you how we're going to season these, the different seasonings we're going to put on there, so then we can put our seeds in the oven and we can start to roast them. All right, so here I have my cookie tray. If you don't have a cookie tray, you can also just use aluminum foil if you have that. And then I have my pumpkin seeds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pumpkin seeds out of my paper towel. They were drying in. Some are going to stick to it, but that's okay. Just get those off. Perfect. I'm just going to scoop those off with my hand. There's still some more. There are a lot of these. There are a lot of pumpkin seeds. Perfect. And so in your box, you actually have salts and you have cinnamon. So you can make sweet or you can make more savory pumpkin seeds. I'm actually going to do some of both. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my seeds and move them around and put them on either side. It's okay, you can see they're still kind of wet, but in the oven they'll start to dry off and then they'll roast. And then what I'm going to do is you're going to take the oil that's in your box. It's just going to be olive oil, and you're just going to take that and drizzle it on your pumpkin seeds. Now this is one of my most favorite parts because you get to get your hands dirty a little bit. And all you're going to do is just take your hand, your clean hand, make sure they're washed, and you're just going to kind of toss your seeds in the olive oil. So just making sure all of the seeds have some olive oil on them. And then we'll divide them in half again after we do this step. Just going to get them all covered in that oil. Some guys hiding over here. There we go. And then we're just gonna do that. And then I'm gonna separate them out again so I can do half of them sweet and then half of them savory. So for my sweet side, I'm gonna take my cinnamon, I'm gonna do the left side with it. So I'm just gonna take my cinnamon, and same with the oil, I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it around. Nope, that just went in one place. That's okay. Same thing we're gonna do. We're just gonna kind of toss them, coat them on our baking sheet, or if you have aluminum foil, you can just use that. Same thing, same steps, just be on aluminum foil instead. I like to do it like this, that way I'm not getting any more dishes dirty, and we're just kind of tossing everything around on this, and then we can just take this and put this straight in the oven. So I'm just gonna kind of, I think I got most of them. Perfect. So I'm just going to kind of spread these back out. You just want to have one layer of the seeds so they all get evenly toasted in the oven. Just kind of patting mine down. And then I'm going to take the salt that I have over here, and these are going to be my savory pumpkin seeds. Savory, because they're going to be nice and salty, which makes them savory. So same thing. Just going to toss these in the salt. And then while you're doing this, we're actually going to roast these seeds at 325. So you can either set your toaster oven or your oven here at home to 325. I have mine preheating right now. You can see it's only at 305 degrees, so it's not quite ready yet. So I'm just going to continue to kind of spread these out. And then I will be back in a minute to put these into the oven with you. So my oven is preheated to 325, and I have on my oven mitt to be safe. Have a parent or guardian help you with this part because your oven is going to be hot. All I'm going to do is just open it up, and I am going to put my pumpkin seeds inside. So this is going to roast in here for about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm just going to set a little timer on my oven. So these seeds roast between 20 and 30 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and just set a timer for 25 since that is in between those times. And I'm going to check it about every 10 minutes. I'm going to check it about twice before we get to this point and see how they're doing. It's going to smell really good in here from the seeds roasting, so I'm really excited to see how it smells and then how they taste. So we'll be back in about 25 minutes to see how my oven is beeping at me, telling me, there it is, telling me that our seeds are ready to come out of the oven. So once again, have a parent or guardian help you with this because it's going to be hot. I have on my oven mitt, and we're going to take out our seeds. I did check on them once and they looked great, so I went ahead and I left them in there for a little bit longer. All right, so let's go ahead and check on them. They smell so good. They smell amazing. Oh my gosh. They look great too. Look at our pumpkin seeds. I am going to go ahead and get these off and put them into a bowl. I'm going to keep my cinnamon and my salt separated. So I have my sweet and then I have my savory in different little cups so I know what I'm about to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and get these off and put them into a little bowl and then show you what they look like. And then favorite part, we're going to taste them. So I got my pumpkin seeds out and I've let them cool for about 5 minutes just to make sure that they're not going to burn my mouth whenever I eat them. And so these are the cinnamon ones. You can see that they're a light brown color. Oops, I just dropped a few. They're a light brown color from the cinnamon, and then also from toasting them in the oven, turn them into this light brown color. And then these are my ones with salt on them. So these are my savory ones, and these aren't as dark brown because they don't have the cinnamon on them. So those are the two side by side. You can see they're different colors. And I'm going to go ahead and try the cinnamon first and see what we think. You just pop the whole thing in your mouth and eat them. They're so good. They have a nice cinnamon flavor. It reminds me a lot of fall. They taste awesome. And then the salt, I have to chew these first. Those are, oh my gosh, those are so good too. Both are awesome and delicious, and you can store these in a little plastic baggie or a little Tupperware container for about a week. Just keep your eye on them and just eat them. They taste awesome. I'm super glad that these turned out so well. I'm excited to do our next activity where we're going to get to roast an entire pumpkin. I'm excited to see how that turns out too. Hopefully it'll be just as delicious as our seeds. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes to get that activity started next. All right, y'all, so we're actually moving on to the part of the video of the activities that I've never done before, and that's going to be roasting our pumpkin. So before, we already took off the top and we scooped out the insides, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just take off that top again, and then we're going to have a parent or guardian help us with this because we're going to take a big chef's knife and we're actually going to cut this in half. So once again, you need a parent or guardian to help you do this. And what you're going to do is you're just going to hold your hand on one side of the pumpkin, making sure your fingers are curled up into like a bear claw. So they're not in front of the knife at all. And then your hands are going to be securely on this knife. If you ever have any questions as to whether or not you're holding your knife correctly, people shouldn't be able to move. Like if you go like this, it shouldn't move at all. It should stay firmly in your hand. And then you know you have a good grip on your knife. So once again, you're going to take it, form like a bear claw on one side of your pumpkin. And then we're just going to cut it in half. My knife is not the sharpest, so we're just going to do the best that we can. There we go, we're starting to get through. Cut that side. And I'm actually going to stand it up. Maybe not stand it up. I'm just going to continue cutting down. I've never cut a pumpkin like this before. So we're learning together. Just keep it down flat on the cutting board. Then I'm just going to wedge my way through the bottom of it. The bottom is the thickest part of the pumpkin, so it's going to be the hardest to cut through. And then there you go. You're just going to kind of break it open like that. And you'll see that. All right, so my pumpkin is cut open. Remember to be careful while you're doing this. It was a little hard for me, so definitely have a parent or guardian do this for you and just keep your pumpkin flat the entire time. And that what seems to be the easiest to get it opened. And I already cleaned some of this out, but you can see that I did miss some seeds and some pulp. And since we're going to be roasting this entire pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and take a spoon and scrape out the rest of this. So I'm going to go grab a spoon and I'll be right back to show you how to finish cleaning out your pumpkin. All right, so I have my spoon and then I have my pumpkin. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape out as much of this pulp and as many of those seeds as I can. So you can't see it very well, but this is what I'm getting here in the bottom. We're just going to keep scooping it and getting as much of that pulp from the inside out since we're actually going to be eating the flesh, this part of the pumpkin. So I'm just going to keep scraping this out, getting out as much as I can. There, look at all of that I just got out. So I'm going to do this for both sides of my pumpkin, and then I will be right back to show you what is next. Oh, and just so you see, this is what the inside looks like after it's fully cleaned out. So I have my pumpkins all cleaned out. They look great. Just gonna have my seeds and my pulp pushed to the side of my cutting board. There we are. So we used a little bit of oil for our seeds to toast them, and we're going to just use the rest of our oil to just lightly coat the inside of our pumpkins. And then we're just going to take our fingers, our clean fingers, and we're just going to kind of massage this around until all parts of our pumpkin are coated. Because this is going to help our pumpkin caramelize. So we're going to do the same thing back here. Just going to coat our pumpkin. Try to get all parts of it. Just kind of brush it around so all parts of our pumpkin caramelize. And then we use some of the salt for our seeds, but then we're going to use the rest, and we're just going to kind of sprinkle it on here just to add some flavor to our pumpkin. Just kind of sprinkle around. It's okay. It's getting stuck to my fingers a little bit because my fingers have oil on them. That's okay. Just going to kind of put that in there, because then our next step is we're just going to kind of brush that salt around too. So everything is evenly coated in salt and in oil. And then you're going to take your parchment paper that you have in your box, and you are going to line a cookie tray with it. So I have my cookie tray right here, or a baking tray. You can use whichever word. And then I'm just going to take my pumpkin and I'm going to put it, the inside part, down onto the cookie sheet. So it looks just like that. I'm going to grab my other one Then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put it right here, face side down, so it is ready to go. So we are going to let our pumpkin bake at 350. So like I was saying before, our oven is still getting there for about 40 to 50 minutes. You can also tell whenever the pumpkin's done if it's tender to the touch. So if you can touch it with a fork, or after you've let it cool, you touch it with your fingers and it feels soft, you know your pumpkin is done and you're ready to eat it. So we're gonna go ahead and wait for our oven to preheat, and then we're gonna put these in there. So I'll be back whenever our oven is ready so we can put our pumpkins inside and get them ready. So my oven is at 350 degrees, so that means it is time to put my pumpkin in. So I'm just grabbing my handy dandy oven mitt. Please have a Parent or Garden help you because this oven's about to be hot. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, and then we're gonna put them in. There we go. And like I said, this is gonna roast for about 40 to 50 minutes or until the outside feels tender or soft to the touch. So I'm just going to turn my oven on a timer for 45 minutes since that's right in between the 40 and 50 mark. And so we'll be back in about 45 minutes to check it. My oven just beeped at me telling me that my roasted pumpkin was ready to take out. So I have on my handy dandy oven mitt again. So remember, have a parent or guardian do this for you because this has been in the oven for a really long time and it's going to be really hot. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get it out. Whoa, you can see that it's bubbling. The olive oil is bubbling on the sides, and it is very, very warm. I am going to go ahead and grab a set of tongs. You can also just use a fork. I just kind of want to press it and see if it feels kind of soft to the touch. You can see that it's making little indents. So I think that this is good to go. Yeah, look at that side. That side's making... You can see that indent there. That means it's soft and it is going to be ready to eat. So I'm going to let this cool off for about 10-15 minutes and then we'll be back to scoop our pumpkin out and try it. So our pumpkins have cooled for about 10 minutes and they're soft to the touch, and they're still a little warm, but they're not too hot to touch them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab a spoon. So get a spoon. Got a spoon, and then I'm actually going to grab a bowl. So I'm going to grab a little bowl that I have here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our pumpkin, and it's just going to kind of scrape out. It's going to be really easy to scrape away from the skin because it's nice and soft, and I'm just going to scrape all of this to the middle of my pumpkin, and then I'm going to put it down in my bowl. So I'm just going to get everything out that I can. Oh no, it just broke apart because it's so soft. That's okay if that happens. Just grab the halves then and just keep on scraping. And I'm just using it to very gently scrape around the skin of the pumpkin and just getting out all of that inside goodness, and then putting it in my bowl. So I'm going to continue doing this for this half the pumpkin and then my other half the pumpkin that I roasted. And then I'll be back to show you how much pumpkin I was able to get. So I just got done scraping out my pumpkin. You can see that most of the inside of the pumpkin is gone. And then it is right here in this bowl. And so this is what it's going to look like whenever it's ready. So you can eat this just like this. In fact, let's go ahead and take a little taste. That's really good. It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it, but it tastes like a pumpkin. It's hard to describe exactly the flavor of a pumpkin, but it's really good. You can take some salt, and you can add it to it. Or if you have any other spices you want to use, if you want to make it sweeter, you can use maybe some cinnamon, and you can put cinnamon in it. There's lots of different ways you can eat this. But I'm going to actually show you another way that we can eat it too. We're going to make it into a pumpkin puree. So if you have a mixer or if you have a food processor at home or even a blender, I'm going to do mine in a blender, we can actually make pumpkin puree with the roasted pumpkin that we just made. So I'm going to grab everything I need for my blender. I'm going to grab my little pitcher part of my blender. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take our pumpkin puree, which is right here, and we're gonna put it in our blender. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then show y'all what it looks like. And it's okay, you don't have to do this part. This is just an extra step if you want to try it a different way and if you have these materials at home. So I have my pumpkin inside of my blender right now, and I'm just going to put my blender down on its base, just like this. And then I'm going to put the lid on the blender that will fit. There it is. And then I'm going to blend this until it's smooth. All right, so I have my blender all set up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. Oh, it's already starting. And we're gonna turn it on down here too. And then we're just gonna kind of turn it up and we're gonna see. So if your blender starts to do that, that means you just need to add a little bit of water to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some water here, and then we'll be back to try to puree it again. So I added some water to my pumpkin puree just so it would blend better. Blended it for about a minute on high, and I have something like this. It's nice and smooth. It has a great consistency, and now you can use this to make something like pumpkin cookies, or you can make a cake with it, or bread. There's lots of different things you can do with pumpkin puree. You can also just eat it like this, and it tastes great. So those are two different ways that you can use your roasted pumpkin. You can either eat it just like it is, or you can make it into a delicious puree. All right, everybody, that is it for our pumpkin take-home kit. I hope that you enjoyed it and you have lots of fun doing these different activities. Please share with us on social media pictures of your roasted pumpkin and your roasted pumpkin seeds and just having fun with this kit. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time for our next take-home kit from Plant the Seed.